Yo, mga insan! A historic episode
Ooh,
today with the Insans out of basketball with Intan.
then Jello. Welcome back mga insan
Yes,
to
sir.
another episode. You know, you never thought if someone tells you like on a random Tuesday that someone would break the second highest scoring record of Kobe, 81. You think that guy would be crazy. Um, and it's crazier that it's Bam Adebayo
Yup. Out of all people,
out of all people.
it's
Before
Bam
we start,
Adebayo.
before we start, don't forget to like, to subscribe,
Yes,
join the
sir.
familia. We're gonna keep going with this. You
Mhm.
know, Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. Oh, the record of Kobe was 2006, I believe.
Mhm.
So 20 years basically.
Yep.
And there's been a surge of scoring.
Mhm.
Ever since we've seen some great players getting into that. Um, you know, Close to that record. But it's somewhat impossible with how the game is now. With the I wouldn't even say the defense, but if you get to even to that 70 point, the game might be a blowout or something. Kobe got to that point because it was a close game. They needed
Mhm.
every single point. For this time, let's talk about Bams first. Let's not
Yeah.
talk about Kobe's whatever.
Mhm.
So, Tan, give us some details of this game.
Bam did what? I mean, like we said, man, out of all people, the most random player without some kind of offensive move beat Kobe's record of 81 points that has been set for a very long time, 20 years, like you said. But Bam last Tuesday was against the worst team in the league, scored 83 points, five turnovers, two steals, two blocks, nine rebounds, three assists, shot 36 free throws, or made 36 free throws and shot 43 attempts. Shot 7 of 22 from the threes and 20 of 43 from the field goal line. So not only did he set the scoring record, he also set the free throw made and free throw attempted in a game.
Yep. And another record that he broke is LeBron's record, highest scoring record as a
Oh,
Miami
for the
Heat.
Miami. Yeah, yeah.
Which is it was obvious it's gonna happen. I think at some point it was like 70, and it's like, oh, he broke LeBron's
Yep.
record, which is like, okay, that's it. But no, they kept going. They kept going. Let's be real though. I think the first two quarters, no one can stop him. They couldn't
Mm-hmm.
stop Bam. They
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do anything about it. But it was that last quarter that became kind of like a. That's what we like. People are saying it's kind somewhat of a joke. It's like it tampers the whole kind of like you got 83 because of
Mm-hmm.
this. Even though it was a lot of free throws, they were double teaming, triple teaming
Yep.
the guy. And there's now videos coming out recently actually where Bam was even saying to his teammates, "Don't foul the Wizards just to slow down
Yeah, yeah.
the
He
game."
was. Yep.
And that's somewhat important because if people don't know, Will got to 100 because of that the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
They were slowing down the clock in order to stop the time, and then they would get the ball right away, and they would just pass the ball to Wilt. So that what was happening too, in Wilt's game. Um, but Wilt and Bam pretty much played the whole game in a way. So that's another factor here. He played 42 minutes against the Wizards. Um,
Insane.
Wilt played 48 minutes the whole game in order for him to get that 100. But I think he sat down the last 1 minute of the game. But still, like, this is the importance of like how that's why people thought it's impossible to even beat Kobe's record. Because you need to have all of this different things happening. But no one thought it would happen on a random Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Miami Heat out of all the teams, they're not like the top one seed or they're like number eight or something. Um, you would expect it for some players then.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else do you
But
think about all this?
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I can, sympathize about that he was still trying to play kind of ethically by
Hmm.
not like asking his teammates to foul the Wizards, but it's already too late by then.
Yeah.
the game was not supposed to be played the way it was played in the fourth quarter. I think them trying to even go over Kobe's record was a little bit too much. I think them tying it would be enough. I think people would still respect it, but there was no point really. There was no point, and it's like you do all that just to get the record.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't know. It just doesn't look good, and I cannot really, to be honest, respect the way it was handled at the
Someone
time,
from a
because
Kobe fan.
yeah, maybe that's the Kobe fan in me, but there were a lot of players who scored like 60 points in a game that stopped playing because they were like up by a lot. So this record could have been beaten for, I don't know, easily by other players if they did the same with Bam, but they didn't. They stopped at 60 points. There's like an unwritten rule not to like shoot the last shot when you're already up by a lot. And I think Bam or the Miami Heat did took a lot of shots when the game is already dead.
Yep.
And I don't know, I just couldn't respect it.
Yeah, I could see it. I can see why people think of that. But again, at the same time, this is all kind of like it's just showing the whole league that it is possible. It's accumulation of different things. Like Coach Spo wanted to have this
Yeah.
happen. It was his decision in a way too. Um, again, he said they could have stopped at 81. They could have just died, right? They wanted to beat that record. Because I saw 77, I'm like, oh, he's probably gonna stop because it's dead. The game is dead. But it made me think though, Tan. Like looking at all of this, we talked about like some players getting 60, getting 70, and then just stopping because the game is dead. It made me think who could actually beat this record. And if so, like, will they actually try to do it? Um, we were talking about it, like who could beat. We didn't really talk about
Mhm.
who would be our guy, but there are a list of players that I think are in the debate to beat Bam's record, which is crazy to say
Mhm.
now. Not even Kobe's record, to beat Bam's record.
Yep.
That is in a way that is there's evidence, video evidence that he actually got 83. We don't have video evidence that he actually got 100, but people say he
Mhm.
got 100. But who do you think? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about who could beat Bam's record now, because I
I
think
think
this might be more important, to be honest, because I
yeah,
think it can be Wilt, Bam, Kobe. That's a weird list.
yeah.
I think someone will try to beat it. Let's talk about some people that can beat it.
Yeah. I think we both kind of have a singular player that we think can overtake Bam, but let's go over, some players before we go to our last guy, but let's talk about Luka Doncic.
Ooh.
I think he scored what? Like 60 points or something?
Yeah,
60
a
plus
60-point
points.
triple double. Yeah, very
Yeah,
normal.
60 plus points with the Mavericks. Do you think he can be Bam? Real quick.
I think he can. Knowing Luca, he's a
Hmm.
foul merchant. He has all the usage. And where he is with Lakers, I think is actually one of like the highest potential. Like
Hmm.
if Redick is like just whatever,
Like Showtime Lakers.
he got 60 halftime. Let's try to beat it.
Yeah.
They go to and then JJ Redick is like, "You're staying into the game. You're beating Bam's record. We're gonna get it back." I think Luca will actually be that player. Um, so that's a good player to start. I think Luca can do it.
Luca,
He had
yeah.
70 and he got 60, I think, or he had two sixties.
Yeah, I forgot. But
He definitely got
Luca,
160.
yeah. Luca can do it, but oh, maybe that's the wrong word, but Luca cannot. Just Luca, I don't think Luca can do it. I don't think he can score a lot of points just because he's in the Lakers with Austin Reeves. I know LeBron James is gonna be gone soon, but he's gonna be sharing the court with a really good scorer as well. So I don't think he has to do a lot to a point that he's gonna have to score 50, 60 points again. And in that Mavericks team, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was kind of the only guy there when
Mhm.
he had that game. I think he had Kyrie and Clay Thompson in the team as well, but I think they might be injured. That's why he was the only one I saw. But the Mavericks really couldn't rely on anybody for scoring but Luca. So I think now that he's in the Lakers and he is sharing with one of the most underrated scorers in the game who can just catch fire in any minute, I think it would be hard for Luca to get to a point where they might just like let's just go for the record because you already have 50 points, 60 points. So yeah.
I can see your point. I just, knowing JJ Redick and especially the organization, I feel like it's like he's gonna get a call in halftime and be like, "Get this record back. We need to get this back."
Yeah.
You know, talking about pure scorer though, you're basically saying that since Luca is more like a, scorer slash point guard, he would pass the ball more, and like especially with Lakers, they have other scorers too. KD, Dan, what do you think of KD breaking this record? He's old now. He's getting there, but do you think
Hmm.
he can beat it?
I think you just took the answer from me. No. KD's too old. The Houston Rockets, I think one of my factors in being able to do this is you have to be the sole scorer, kind of like the main scoring option of the team, and that's KD. He's literally the only consistent, reliable scorer in the team, but that can also be the problem, especially in the Rockets where they don't have a lot of spacing when you're playing with a man and um Sengun all the time who can make shots but are not reliable spacers. There's a tendency that the defense is gonna focus on you, and I think he's gonna have a hard time reaching to that 50 point once again because one, he's too old, and two, they just don't have a good spacing for him to create.
Hmm. You know, I want to talk about KD because I think I'm not sure if he's still top one, but I know recently he was top one in minutes in the
Hmm.
NBA. So that's why I wanted to put KD in this list because of just the minutes. I could see, you talked about like not having a scorer because like I feel like Houston doesn't really have another scorer to be honest. I know they have Sengun and Aman, all of that, and Jabari, but I feel like worst case scenario, right? With what happened with Bam, he had no hero, he had no Wiggins.
Yep.
Um, I don't know who else wasn't there to be honest, but
Kalel Ware wasn't there.
Kalel wasn't there. Like they don't have other scorer that they can rely on. So technically, in a way, like they needed him to score.
Yep.
But this is what I would see with KD. Maybe this year, next year, whatever it might be. It's just gonna be a close game where he would need to get like 60, 70, and they would just push it to get to that 80, 84, 85 mark. Um, I could see what you mean with the spacing. With Houston, it's really hard. But that's the thing. With him having this much minutes, I think it's possible. I think it's possible. And I don't know. He's one of the best scorers. He's unstoppable. 7 foot
Hmm.
guy. Very efficient. That's the other thing. But one of the key factors that I saw was, he takes free throws. He doesn't take that much free throws, so I think he might
Hmm.
not get to that point.
Yep.
Like we're seeing this as a kind of like a pattern where you need those free throws in order to get to
Hmm.
that 80.
But the next guy, the MVP of the league, maybe not this year, who knows, but Nikola Jokic, real quick, do you think he can beat Bam's record?
No, no, there's no way. He's not. He's I think he's a first passer guy.
Hmm.
Um, he might be slow, but I think he's gonna get the fatigue right away, just going up and down so much. I don't think he's the. And again, this is where you have the Jamal Murray's, you have Aaron Gordon, and I don't know the scoring option in Denver. There's a decent amount of them, um, but especially now too that I feel like he's not really 100%.
Yep.
And I don't think he will be 100% until after the season because he probably doesn't want to miss too much games or any at
Mhm.
all. I don't know if he can get it. and he's again he's not even 30, I believe. So
Oh, are we talking about like this season or like
oh no,
just
I'm not talking about this
the
season, but I
future?
just feel like this season he's impossible, and then next season Jamal Murray is just gonna get better and better. Um, I don't think he can be the sole scorer. I don't think Jamal would just keep passing the ball to Jokic, and I don't think he's that pure of a scorer compared to like the two guys we've talked about so far. That's all.
That is actually the craziest take I've ever heard so far. Because to me, realistically, this is out of all the guys we've talked so far, this is the guy who can
Oh.
realistically get to the 80 points because he is very, I mean, I'm talking about like before the injury, but he was so unstoppable in the paint, he
Mhm,
could just his game, he doesn't really have that I don't know, like appealing physique, but
mhm,
I think he has a really good basketball stamina just because he doesn't really play defense. His scoring is like very natural, very easy to him. Like the hook shots in the paint doesn't, to me, doesn't look like generates a lot of energy out of him. So I think he can preserve his energy. Um, there's a lot of evidence that he can play a lot of minutes, and
mhm.
I think he was the top scorer if I was right. He was the top scorer in the league before Bam, or the season high score in the league before Bam at 60 points
Yep.
this season already. So he had a chance, but to me, he can he can make that 80 points just because, like you said, he has Murray and he is, to me, a very ethical
Yeah.
basketball player that he just cares about winning and he just thinks of this as his job. So he wouldn't go as far as like doing extra.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of another MVP, Tan, let's talk about SGA real quick, because I
Mhm,
think you know, just talking about free throws, I think this was the guy that I was like, oh, he needs to be in this list on who could potentially beat that 83 points. But why I don't know why it feels wrong to say that he could beat it, even though I know he can. Um, can he like he had like what he has a record right now of scoring 20 points or more
mhm,
consecutively. But with a lot of the blowouts have been happening with OKC, I just don't think it will happen anytime soon.
mhm.
And even if he does get to that 80 plus points, um, they practically need to stop defending. Because if it becomes to a point where it's like 160 points and the other team has 60 points, is that even like, I don't even think he would want that record. Do you know what I mean? They get too much blowouts where it feels like he doesn't need to play anymore. So that's the main reason I feel like he wouldn't really get this record.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you. I'm looking at the the single game leaders and I couldn't even find him in the top 100. I think I also find not just him but the whole Thunder organization as ethical outside of Lou Dort, but um he doesn't seem to me like the type of player that has to, like, again, do some extra work. They just care about winning and
Hmm.
they play a lot of games. They play a lot of playoff games that I don't see him like playing 42 minutes just to beat a record for
Yeah,
nonsense.
I don't see it. I don't see it. He needs to play
Mhm,
48. He needs to play the whole time, I
mhm,
think. And it can be a blowout. Because again, like look what's happening. Like it just tampers your record.
mhm,
Um, but one of the guys that was pretty close to beating that record in a way was
mhm.
Devin Booker. Let's talk about Devin Booker, Tan. He had a 70 point
Yep.
way back when. They
Mhm.
lost.
Yep.
They kept playing him. I don't know if anyone remembers this
Yep.
game. They kept playing him. They
I
wanted
think it
him to
was
get to.
against the Celtics, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
It might have been against the Celtics, but they kept playing him. They kept playing him. It was. there was no point of him staying in the court, but they kept playing him. But it's one of those kind of like the other side of it, where they're getting blown out already, and
Hmm.
you just have a guy on a heater, just keep passing him the ball, get him like a scoring record.
Hmm.
But you think Booker can do it? He hasn't been. I feel like it hasn't been the same
Yeah.
uh, as a scorer. But yeah,
Mhm. So Booker scored 70 points in that game, and he actually only attempted 26 free throws,
only
making 24. I know that's a lot, but compared to Bam, I mean,
nothing.
but he made a lot of his free throws too. But to me, he cannot do it anymore because the Phoenix Sun has a lot of options now. He's not really the main like scoring options right now because you have Dylan Brooks, you have an upcoming guy, and a forever upcoming guy in Jalen Green. You have Colin Gillespie, you have Grayson Allen. There's a lot of options in Phoenix Suns. And when he did that 70 point, I think it might be his rookie or sophomore year.
Yeah,
They don't
basically.
have anybody. He was the only guy, and the Suns was I for sure was very lucky to have him at that time, a
Yep.
glimpse of hope, but they don't really have anybody, and it's one of those again unethical way of doing it. So I don't see it anymore for Devin Booker.
Ooh. Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Let's talk about another guy here. I would say another pure scorer with Anthony Edwards.
Mm,
He is what? He might be top one still, but he's basically top three in scoring right now.
mhm,
Points per game. Not total scores, but
mhm,
points per game. He is just a pure scorer. He has the his dog in him. He's very efficient. He shoots the threes well. He added that to the game. Um, but I think when talking about a team that doesn't really, I know they have Julius Randle.
mhm.
They have other options, but I think with how, especially how the Minnesota is right now, and potentially like how the next year is would be, they really need him to score. I feel like in order for them to win, they really need him to score. And I honestly think Anthony Edwards is one of those players that can easily get it, get close to it at least, and he's still young, so I think he's like capable on getting that record. He's not the most efficient in the free throws, so it's gonna take forever to get those, free points. But I honestly think it's Anthony Edwards. If he goes on a heater, on the threes, it's just I think it's gonna be easy for him.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, Anthony Edwards, out of all the guys that we talked so far, is probably the most capable guy to do this. He can score at any level, 3-point mid range, can attack the paint easily when he wants to. And like you said, he has the dog in him. But that dog sometimes just doesn't want to go for a walk sometimes, it just doesn't have the energy. That's the problem with him. He just doesn't have that consistent like energy. I want to beat your ass,
Yeah.
type of energy like MJ. He needs that extra motivation. Like when he had that series against the Lakers, they were counting them out and he had to show them who he is. He needs that extra motivation because I think the problem is I don't really know if he probably hasn't reached his potential yet, but
Mm.
he's already too good that he just feels bored sometimes. But like you said, he can get on a heater and really put it up like 50, 60 points easily. But to me, he just doesn't have that kind of energy sometimes to play well.
Yeah, he's been somewhat, especially recently, he hasn't been that consistent. Because
Hmm.
I think there was a streak where he's basically getting 30s every game, but he hasn't been
Hmm.
as consistent on that. And I think it's basically just with Minnesota itself. They don't really have. They need to get. Um, I think it's one of those players that's really hard to kind of like build around. Just as a pure scorer, he's really good with defense too. But I think, you know they really lacking on that point guard position. I feel like still. So with Anthony Edwards and just being him in Minnesota, there might be a time where he will need to get that. He will be the only scorer basically on the floor, and he just needs to go on a heater. I think there is a chance, but again, there he has other second options. And I don't know if Coach Finch will actually let him stay for that long. But we'll see. But I think out of all the players we talked about, between him and Luca, I think they're just like the two scorers that can easily do it. But let's talk about a guy that that's been crazy lately. Just been, you know, the most efficient guy, the most fun guy. Um, Kawhi Leonard, Tan. He's. I feel like he's on his third prime or something. Like he got the Clippers out of that over 500 actually. They were one of the worst teams, I would say, and then now they're over 500, and it's all because of him. But this guy can do everything. He can do it all. Threes, drive the paint, mid range, you name it. I think he's unstoppable. This guy is a freak. Like
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it's one of those teams too that needs him to score with Clippers, and I could see him, getting to that point where they really need him to just score. What do you think?
I think he cannot make it to 83 points. But to me, he is one of the most underrated, unstoppable guys in the league. Like you said, he is strong, he's tall, his mid range is one of the best in the league. He's so unstoppable in his mid range. He can shoot very well on the threes, he can attack, he can do anything you want. And he's very efficient. But he's getting older. I know it looks like he's on another prime, but he's getting older and they I don't think they would want to play him extra minutes just to beat a record. So I don't see it.
Yeah, he's gonna get injured if he plays like 40 minutes or something. But it feels like we haven't really gotten to you know, the same answer here. And like,
Mhm.
let's what about you just put your last name here? Who do you think actually can get
To
this record?
me, the only player that could ever beat Bam is Donovan Mitchell.
Hmm.
Donovan Mitchell, I think, what now, like 27, 28, I want to say. I'm not really sure. Please correct me on that. But this guy has one of the most flawless shot I've ever seen. This guy shoots his shots so easily. Like his three-pointer, the way he goes up, the elevation that he goes to. I know he's like 6'3". He's like a small shooting guard, but you cannot contain this guy. He is so easy to get his shots up. He can, and if he starts shooting well outside and you just now start like pressing up on him, getting close on him, he's fast enough that he's gonna just blow by you. He is strong. He can do anything you want in the on the court, and the key factor to me is he scores the ball so easily. And the Cleveland, I know they have James Harden, but he's still the main scorer, and I think the team needs him to score more than James Harden because I think James is like the main point guard, main playmaker they have, so they need him more on the playmaking side other than scoring, but he's still very capable. But to me, that's just very simple. Donovan Mitchell, if he wants to, can give you buckets easily. He has some of the purest shots I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I'm gonna. I had an option, or I had a player earlier that I wanted to say, but I think this guy will actually get it. I'm just like, I have a feeling this guy will get it, get close to it even,
Hmm.
anytime in his career. But Victor Wembanyama,
Wow.
I'm gonna pick Victor Wembanyama. Well, he's on his
Wow.
third year, fourth, third. It might be third. But we're talking about like pure scorers. We're talking about guys that can easily get it. You know, I would say right now how constructed they are. I don't really see them having a second option yet, and I would say Victor would still be their main option. And this guy's young. He has
Mhm.
so many chances, and he doesn't just score from we've seen it with Bam. He shot it from 3-2, but Wembanyama can get it on threes too. And how are you gonna stop him? You're gonna keep fouling him? Okay, he can shoot it from free throw decently, but he is one of those players that I think he could get it. He is still working on his game, which is crazy to say because I think
Mhm.
he has a decent package already. Um, but he could be the guy that could easily break it just because of just the structure and how he plays and how the Spurs are built right now. It's basically around him. He just need to keep passing him the ball. Like who's gonna stop him? Like no one really. Like there's no one else that can beat this guy. This guy's like their number two on the East
Mhm.
in his only third year
Oh, he's in
with
the
a bunch
West. In the West.
on the West. Sorry. And they have a chance this year, but
Hmm.
like I just see it in the future where he's gonna have like a 40 point like the whole like season or something. That's gonna be his points per game. Um, so I can see him getting to that point where he just no one can stop him. Like who's gonna stop him? That's up and coming. That 7 footer.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I know Wembanyama can do a lot of things, defense, offense, whatever, you name it, but I honestly don't see it. He's probably the last guy that I would think of because like you said, the San Antonio Spurs doesn't really have like a secondary option other than Wembanyama, but they have a lot of like this little scoring options with De'Aaron Fox, Castle, Vassell, Harper, that I don't think it will like happen that they're gonna have to rely on him. And like one key factor in all of these high scoring games are free throws. His game to me is like outside scoring, maybe a little bit of mid range and a lot of lobs, like alley oops, but he doesn't really he cannot attack the paint because he's too tall. He gets like stripped a lot. So I don't know. I'm not sure that he got in a game where he was fouled a lot. And I think you have to
No, he
play
hasn't. Yeah, yeah, he hasn't.
you have to play the whole game, which I but he's still young. He could very well, improve on those things and just expand his scoring game. But as of right now, Donovan Mitchell, man, come
No,
on.
it's Wembanyama. But I think overall with all of this, with all the talk now about who can beat this record, we're gonna see a surge of
Hmm.
just you know teams maybe trying to get that record. I really hope so because this is a very interesting list right now. But at the same time they do have to take care of their players, so that's one of the things.
Hmm.
But we'll see. I honestly think this is somewhat of a good thing.
Hmm.
They need to somewhat reconstruct the amount of like scoring, so we might see some kind of like revolution per se if it gets to a point where all the teams started just doing this, where they just started having all their star players playing until the end. Play your 48 minutes and see where you go from your scoring. If it starts to happen, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna literally break the scoring record in the history book. So
Yeah. I think,
yeah,
yeah, I think the numbers are gonna be great, but I do hope it does not happen.
yeah.
Because
And it's gonna be interesting how it all is,
yeah.
because again, this is someone wants to beat that record now. Someone wants
Yep.
will definitely will.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of like competitive players out there, so we're gonna see where this all goes then.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think a lot of players are gonna be like kind of not maybe jealous is a little bit like a wrong
No,
word to
I
say,
think
but
it's the
yeah.
competitiveness with
And
them.
them seeing, somebody like Bam, who is not really a scorer, get that 80, like 81, beat that 81 point record, would just tell them like, this guy, I'm
I can
I'm
do
like one of
better
the
than
best
this guy.
scorers in the league.
Yeah.
So it will definitely be some competitiveness out of that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, mga insan, for
Yes,
listening.
sir.
Let us know what you think. Who can beat this
Hmm.
83-point record? Who can beat the 100-point record?
Hmm.
But yeah.
Out of all these guys, did we kind of disrespected somebody in the list?
Ooh,
Maybe gassing up Donovan Mitchell too much, but that shot, that shot, that shot is so butter. But please let us know in the comments. Don't forget to join the familia, like and subscribe, do all that. But we'll see you guys in the next one because instants are out.
let's go.
Yes.